Hi guys! I have another read aloud planned for you. Now, fair warning, this is a longer book. This book is 48 pages long and there's lots of words on every page. So, if you maybe only have a few minutes, you might want to save this read aloud for another time, or you can always pause it and start it again later if it's a little too long for you. But just so you know, this one is a longer one, but grown-ups, that might be a good thing for you. So, this book is called Chester the Worldly Pig. Worldly pig. Worldly means it's something of the world. So normally when we think of something that is worldly, we think that maybe it's done a lot of things, it's seen a lot of places, it's maybe gone on lots of fun adventures. Look at this pig. He's standing on a fence post on his nose. But look, you can see in the background. Look at all this. What does that look like? Looks like a farm, doesn't it? Now, little old pig down on the farm doesn't seem very worldly. Let's turn it around and look at the back cover. When you look at the back cover, look at that. Does that look familiar to you? Remember, when things are familiar, they're things that we've seen before, things that we know. This is a circus poster. You may not have been to the circus before. Circuses used to be a bigger thing than they are now, but maybe you've seen it in a movie or read about it in a book. This is a big circus poster, and the little pig's looking at it. It says, Chester has his heart set on being a star performer in the circus. Will standing on his snout be a good enough trick to make his wish come true? Okay, so that tells us a little something about the book. Chester wants to be in the circus. Will his dreams come true? We open up the book. Looky there. We see some different characters and things we might see at a circus. We turn in a few more pages. Looky there. There's three men. Three men jumping onto a train. I wonder what they have to do with Chester. And oh, there he is back on a farm. He's wearing some silly clothes. So those are some teasers for what's going to happen in this story. So without further ado, we're going to Chester the Worldly Pig, written and illustrated by Bill Peet. That means he wrote the words and he drew the pictures. Written and illustrated. Of all things, Chester grumbled. Why on earth did I have to be a pig? A pig is no better off than a cabbage or carrot. Just something to eat. But before I end up as so much sausage and ham, I intend to try and amount to something. But what else could a pig ever be? That was Chester's main problem, and he turned this around and around in his head until one day it suddenly came to him. I'll be a star in the circus. What gave Chester such an outlandish idea was a circus poster, which appeared on the barn wall one sunny morning in May. And what caught the little pig's eye was a seal with a ball balanced on the tip of his nose. The nose, said Chester. That's the thing. Surely my flat pig snout must be good for something. And he searched the pig pen for an idea. There was only a trough, a fence, and a mud puddle. The trough is much too cumbersome, he decided, and I can't very well balance a fence or a mud puddle on my nose. So it'll have to work just the other way around. I'll balance my nose on something on the flat top of a fence post. Anyone knows that a pig can't climb, but Chester couldn't let this bit of useless knowledge hold him down. And with a slight boost from an overturned bucket, he struggled up the side of the fence until he was finally perched on the top rail. Now came the tricky part. Placing his snout squarely on the post, he carefully raised one hind leg in the air, then the other, and with a flurry of short kicks, he launched his body up over his head, and for an instant, he teetered upside down on his nose. Then down he tumbled to land with a sploosh in the feed trough. Aww. Well, so far so bad, he muttered. But Chester had no idea of quitting. Before he ever mastered the trick, he expected to take quite a few such tumbles, and indeed he did. He took hundreds of tumbles that day, and by nightfall, go ahead. By nightfall, he was a very weary and badly bruised pig, but surprisingly enough, his spirits were high. The last effort had been a great improvement. He had held his balance for what he guessed to be a full minute. And the next morning, after a few more tumbles, Chester had mastered the impossible feat. He could stand on his nose for as long as he pleased. And now he was all set to be discovered. This was no big problem. It had been figured out from the beginning. A railroad ran right past the farm, and the pig was sure that sooner or later the circus train would be coming by there. Whenever he heard a locomotive chugging far down the track, he scrambled up the fence and quickly went into his nose stand. He was always ready, just in case. Then, sure enough, early one morning, there came the circus train with its long, flat cars loaded with animal wagons and tent poles, followed by the elegant red coaches. As the coaches rumbled by, Chester could tell from his upside-down view that all the window shades were drawn. On the train between towns, the weary circus people always try to catch up with their sleep. So, no one happened to see the pig on the post. See, look, all their windows are shut. All their blinds are drawn. Nobody's watching him do his trick. Oh, well, sighed Chester. It looks like I'll just have to take a trip. And he scrambled to the ground outside the fence and set off down the railroad track. It was as simple as that. There was no need to worry about the farmer. He was always so busy he didn't even know he owned a little spotted pig. And when Chester went trotting by the field where he was plowing, the man merely chuckled. Well, now, it appears to me that somebody's pig could stand a little fixin'. Chester realized that the circus might have gone a long way before stopping to set up tents. No telling how far. So he settled down to a good, steady dog trot with his eyes fixed on the track ahead. I like that Chester didn't let anything stop him. He just thought, well, okay, we'll go on to the next thing. Look at him, his little spotted self. Just trotting along, trotting to catch up with the train. And before he knew it, there was the big top. And he stopped with an of surprise. This huge mountain of canvas looming above a bustling city of tents and wagons was almost too much for a little farm pig to take all in at once. And at first, he could only stare in amazement. Then, sternly, he warned himself, if I lose nerve now, I'm through before I start. So I'm going to be a big star. It's time I got used to big things. The bigger, the better. And with renewed courage, he went trotting ahead into the bustling circus lot. Look at all of them setting up the circus tents for people to come see the show. Chester was nimble and quick for a pig, and he managed to dodge and sidestep his way through the army of hustling roustabouts without getting kicked or stepped on. When he came to an open space near the back door of the big top, he picked out a tent stake exactly the right height, and on his very first try, went into a perfect nose stand. Look, there he is. Then in no time at all, Chester was discovered by the circus tall man. Hey, everybody, he shouted. Look at that little old pig way down there. Suddenly, Chester was the center of attention, with everyone talking at once. Say, that's a pretty nifty trick. A real ding-dong doozy. Why, he's a natural-born acrobat. Where'd he come from? What's the difference? Let's put him in the show. And Chester was hustled away to a dressing room tent. The two attendants tied a red ribbon around his middle, fastened a feathery plume on his head, and gave his precious snout a bit of shine with a dab of pink shoe polish. And the next thing the little pig knew, he was riding into the big top at the head of the grand parade on a magnificent white stallion, led by a beautiful circus queen. It just can't be true, thought Chester, tingling with excitement. This must be a glorious dream. It's much too good to last. And indeed, it was too good to last. In a very short while, the glorious dream turned into more of a nightmare. He's finally made it to the big top. It's not going to go how he thought, though. For to Chester's horror, when the main show began, he found himself in the big cage with 5 ferocious tigers. Someone had decided the small pig's act must be more spectacular. It needed an element of danger. And the ringmaster's booming voice filled the tent as he announced the spectacular new act. Now, for the very first time anywhere, we proudly present Percival, the performing pig, the one and only pig with the dauntless courage and daring ever to perform in the very same arena with savage beasts of the jungle. Just as the announcement was finished, the courageous Percival fainted, and he was quickly carried out of the big cage amid a storm of hooting and jeering from the angry spectators. Speaking of angry spectators. Hi, Rocky. Do you want to listen to the story? I'm not done.
Are you done?
No, I'm like halfway done. Do you want to sit here and listen to the story quietly? Or do you want to go to the other room? Forced intermission. Okay, but you have to be quiet, okay? Okay. Chester was quickly revived with a splash of cold lemonade. Then he was dressed in baby clothes with a lace bonnet tied under his chin. And Roscoe the clown, in a frilly skirt and flowered hat, wheeled him around the big top in a doll buggy. A rippling wave of laughter followed after them, and someone squealed, "Oh, what a darling, adorable little pig!" After 5 or 6 trips around the tent, the poor pig had turned almost the color of the clown's needle nose. Look at his face. He does not look happy, does he? Late that night, after the performance, Roscoe took off his costume and his makeup. So this is Roscoe the clown. He looks like Jasper from 101 Dalmatians. Then, without so much as one glance at Chester, he turned down the lamp and crawled into bed, leaving the disgruntled pig chained to a tent post and still wearing the miserable bonnet and dress. Oh, look at the chain around his little hoof. There was no wriggling out of it, for the ribbon was tied in a double knot under his chin. So he suspected that as long as he was Roscoe's pig, this would be his costume day and night. Well, one thing, vowed Chester. I'll give this old clown the slip the first chance I get. Chester's first chance came on the very first train trip. Roscoe hadn't bothered to chain his pet pig. He kept him under the seat with his suitcase, figuring if the pig got loose on the train, he wouldn't get far. But Chester figured otherwise, and as the clown was lighting his cigar, he squirted from under the seat and went racing through the aisle. There he goes. Roscoe was surprisingly spry for an old fellow, and halfway down the car, the big clown's feet were slapping close at the panicky pig's heels. He would have caught Chester for sure if the tall man hadn't left a long leg in the aisle. Old Roscoe tripped and went sprawling And by the time he picked himself off the floor, the pig had reached the caboose and squeezed his way out the door. Just you gotta stay still if you're gonna be on the bed so it doesn't shake the computer, okay?
Is it one of those Zooms where like you're sending a video to them?
No, I'm just recording it, but so everybody can watch it later. Look, so here's the tall man's leg. Roscoe whoop, tripped over it. Oh, and there goes Chester, still in his baby clothes. Then, in desperation, Chester leaped off the black platform to go sliding and tumbling over a steep embankment and down into a dense pine forest where he was stopped, crump, by the broad backside of a bear. The big hairy beast whirled around with a snort of surprise, for he had never seen a pig wearing baby clothes before. But then at the same time, Chester had never seen a big hairy bear before, and for a brief instant they sat, blinking at each other. Then one savage snarl from the bear sent the terrified pig squealing off into the wilderness, plowing headlong through brambles and brush, then frantically leaping the fallen timbers. This time Chester was running for his life, and the bear was close on his trail, eating up the distance in long, easy strides. He was only one jump away when all of a sudden he stopped with a snort. That sounded maybe more like a moose than a bear. And he stood up. The pig had run straight for the camp of 3 tattered old tramps, and the bear wanted no part of them. So far, he's seeing lots of things in the world, isn't he? He's living up to his name, the worldly pig. He's going on so many adventures.
That's my banana shirt.
Yes, that is your banana shirt. His last meeting with men had cost him 1 piece of his ear. Uh-oh, look at him. Look at his sad little ear. It's got a big old chunk out of it. It cost him 1 piece of his ear, so with a grumbling growl, he turned and he lumbered off.
Mom?
No wonder the bear was so scared, thought Chester, after taking one look at the 3 fierce faces overgrown with beards, rusty red,
Mom,
grizzled gray, and bushy black.
can I take this off?
Yes, they were enough to scare anyone. Costume change. Can you pull up? Hang on, let's unbutton it. Rocky's changing out of his shirt. Pause. You know this is going to be on YouTube forever. All right, don't be on camera changing your clothes. Go change over there. Put your banana shirt on. What, are you scared?
No.
Oh, okay. Jude was acting like he was scared of the 3 tramps.
He didn't have it.
All right. So Chester decided to take his chances in the woods, but not quite quickly enough. See, oh, there goes the bear. So Chester's running off too. Ooh, but those 3 tramps catch him. Just as he turned to go, the red beard sprang in, and one wild grab seized the flying cape, jerked the pig off his feet, then stuffed him snout first into a sack. "Can't leave you out here in the woods, piggy," he muttered as he tied the top off the sack. "It's not safe." "He's safe enough now," grinned the gray beard. "At least till supper time." Can you help Rocky put his shirt on, please? Thank you. "Now all we need's beans," said Blackbeard. "Nothing like pork and beans." He's right. Nothing like pork and beans. Look at them. They're even dropping their coffee. They're so excited to catch him. "Turnip greens," said Graybeard. "They're best with roast pig." "Oh no," growled Red. "He's going to be boiled with a batch of sauerkraut." Just then, a train whistle echoed through the pines, and the 3 tramps... You have to turn it around. The 3 tramps quickly gathered up their gear, strapped on their packs, and hurried off through the woods toward the railroad, with Redbeard toting the big sack. Here, let me help.
Did you pause it?
No, I can't pause it. So. That's okay. A little shirt change it never hurt anybody, right? Here we go. All right, banana shirt. All right. So they're taking off for the train. They've still got Chester in the sack, and they're going to hitch a ride. Although he couldn't see, Chester could tell by the bouncing of the sack and the growing rumble of the train wheels just what was happening. The rumbling grew into heavy thunder as the three tramps caught up with the long freight crawling up the steep mountain grade. They scrambled up the ladder to the top of a boxcar, then settled down for a free and easy ride most anywhere. Can you imagine running to catch a train, to jump on a train? That would be scary to me. It was a miserable trip for Chester. The day was scorching hot, and he was barely able to breathe through the sack. Look, he's still there. Look, you can even see his little snout. I already read that one. No, I told you if you're going to be in here, you have to be quiet and listen to the story.
Let me read it.
You can look at it. But he was no worse off than the three tramps who rode along under an endless cloud of train smoke, which showered them with hot cinders and soot. And in their misery, they began to quarrel. I'm the one that caught this pig, Redbeard roared above the noise of the train, so I'm keeping him all to myself. Oh, no, you don't, bellowed Blackbeard. It's share and share alike, that's the rule. And rules is rules, growled Graybeard. I'm breaking the rules, said Red. So what you gonna do about it? Uh-oh. They're making a red choice. Look at them fighting over the bag. The shouting went on through the long, hot, smoky afternoon, and at the end of the day, when the train pulled into a freight yard on the outskirts of the big city, the quarrel had gone so far, the tramps had decided to split up. But before they parted, they had one last fight over Chester. A furious tug of war, with all three jerking and pulling on the sack at once. Suddenly, the sack ripped in two, and out popped the pig. Look, there he goes. In one bounce, Chester was on his feet and bounding away over the tracks across the freight yard, straight into the path of a speeding locomotive. Lucky thing that the pig was light on his feet. He hadn't eaten for days. And in one leap, he sailed lightly over the cowcatcher, leaving the three beards waiting for the train to pass. By the time the caboose came rattling by, the pig was long gone. He had disappeared into the big city beyond. So first, Chester left the farm and he joined the circus. And then he almost got into a fight with a bear in the woods. And then he got stolen by the three tramps. And now
he got a new broom. The end.
He's in the big city. Look at that. As night came on, it began to drizzle, and the bedraggled pig wandered aimlessly along the dreary streets with no idea of where he was going. On every side were dark, ghostly buildings with their yawning doorways and dingy storefronts, and it seemed to the small pig that every other store was a butcher shop with all the signs of doom printed boldly on the windows. So he's in front of a butcher shop. Butchers are people who sell meat. The sign said fresh ham, smoked ham, choice bacon, pork chops, pork sausage, pickled pig's feet. Those are all foods that we get from pigs. Yeah. So poor old Chester's just seeing all these shops that want to chop them up and sell them for food. No. It was plain to see that the big city was no place for a pig, at least a live pig anyway. Well, one thing, sighed Chester. I'm much too tired to figure out anything tonight. And he wandered into a narrow alley where he found an overturned barrel by a junk heap. He crawled in and out of the drizzle, and with a groan of despair, the unhappy pig dropped off to sleep. There he goes. He's just worn out from all his adventures, all his worldly adventures. Yes. Okay, can you ask Jude to stick them on for you so I can finish the book?
Can you help me, Jude?
Oh.
Jude, can you help me?
In case you thought that I could get anything done with kids in the house?
Not on the
Like that?
top.
Not on the top?
On the tires.
Oh, okay. On the tires. Oh, well, they're not going to stick to the tires. There's not a flat surface. See? They can stick to the top, though. All right, I'm almost done with my book, and then I'll help, okay? Chester was up and on his way before daylight. He was taking no chances of getting caught in the big city. And for now, he had made other plans, and he hurried along the deserted streets, always going in the direction which he figured would take him out into the country. Okay, boys, go to the other room, please. I'll be done in a minute. Go to the other room, please. I know, I'm almost done. I want you to go to the other room so I can finish the book. Okay? Rocky, go with Jude and he'll help you. Thank you for going without complaining. So he's headed out to the country now. When the sun peeped over the horizon, he was trotting along a dusty road past the wheat fields. Then at the first barn lot he came to, he turned in the gate to give himself up, and the farmer greeted the stray pig with open arms. Look, he's still got his baby clothes on, but he's finally made it back to somebody who can take care of him. First, the farmer shucked off the bonnet and dress, just in case somebody might be out looking for a pig wearing baby clothes, and then plunked him in a pen, and he filled the trough. He intended to make the most of his free little pig, which was just fine with Chester, for he had decided that if he must go the way of all pigs, he was going to go out in a great way. So he ate his fill every day, and like any other pig, when he wasn't eating, he was sleeping. Look at him, getting a nice full belly, so full that, look at him now! To the farmer's delight, after a couple years, Chester ballooned into a huge blimp of a pig. And one morning, the happy farmer said, "Today, this little pig goes to market." On that very same morning, a carnival van stopped at the farm, and out of the cab stepped a dignified, white-whiskered man with a broad-brimmed hat and a fancy frock coat. He had stopped to buy fresh eggs, but when he saw the huge pig, he forgot all about the eggs. Look at his truck. It says Martin's Miracle Show. That looks a little bit like a circus truck. Uh-oh. Is another circus trying to get Chester? "What will you take for your pig?" he asked. The farmer thought for a minute, then named his price, which was at least twice what he figured the pig was worth. And to the farmer's surprise, the man didn't so much as bat an eye. He counted out the money, and the deal was closed. After the pig was loaded aboard and the van drove away, the farmer had himself a good laugh. Well, I'm trying to help you so I can read the last 2 pages of the book.
Help me.
Okay, can you wait? Okay, so the farmer is just laughing, right? Because he just got double the money for Chester. He thinks he's bought the world's biggest pig. Why, I've seen at least a dozen bigger ones at the county fair. But if the fellow had gone to school long enough to study geography, he'd have known that Chester was much more than just a plain pig. So at the beginning, we said that worldly means something of the world, like somebody who's gone on big adventures. Chester's gone on big adventures. Somebody who's seen a lot of things. Chester's seen a lot of things. So he's much more than just a worldly pig who's seen things and been places. For the next day, Chester was introduced to the crowd in the carnival tent as the one and only worldly pig. "Now, if you will please move a little closer," said the white-whiskered man, "you will see the entire map of the world imprinted by nature upon this remarkable creature's enormous hide. On his left side, the continents of North and South America, including the land of Australia, which is down under, of course." Look at that. That's the map. He's got the map on his body. The crowd gasped in amazement, while Chester oinked in surprise. He was just as amazed as anyone. But that's only the half of it, said the man, turning the pig around on his revolving platform. On his right side, we find Europe, Africa, and Asia, and for good measure, even that tiny island of Borneo. So you see, my friends, this amazing pig is truly one of nature's wonders, untouched by inks, paints, stains, or dyes. And to remove all possible doubt, we will now give our worldly wonder a good sound scrubbing. So we thought worldly meant that he had seen things and gone on great adventures, but really worldly means he's got the world printed on his spots on his big body. Then Chester was treated to the first bath in all his life, and he squealed with pleasure. It felt good to be clean. Not spotlessly clean, however. When the foamy suds had been rinsed away, the map came out more plainly than ever, with the oceans a glowing pig pink. Then, as the admiring crowd rocked the tent with applause, the delighted pig took a few more worldly turns to show off his spectacular spots. Look at his face. I think he looks proud. We talked about what proud means. When you feel happy about the good things that you've done, you feel proud. Look at him. He's so proud of himself and his spots. Woo! So that's the tale of Chester, the worldly pig. I told you guys this would be a longer one, so hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you enjoyed the interruptions of my kids who weren't patient enough, but that's okay. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed them. Hopefully I'll see you soon. You guys stay warm and be good.